Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. It is very stormy out today, although the rain has not yet begun. I think it's about to begin very soon. This is my Cotoneaster in the orchard style, an old orchard tree. In spring, I do not want this tree expending any energy at all on unwanted branches. So I'm going to get rid of some of those today and take down the ones that have got a lot of vigor and maybe encourage them to do a little branching on their own. Before I get started on the canopy, I'm just going to clean up the grounds a little bit. I've got moss growing up the trunk of the tree that I need to get rid of. This tree has an unsightly feature that's quite solid that I really want to grow away. I don't like looking at it. And from the other side, it's got an equally weird feature, but less so. And you know, the way I want this tree to grow, I don't think it matters where the front is. It's just definitely not going to be one of the sides, or I don't think so. It will be, it has been here. And here's that weed again. This one hasn't quite taken hold, but you'll see in upcoming videos some of the trees that I have on deck outside really have this weed taking over. So I did prune this tree in summer. Might have been late spring, actually. I'll have to go back. I don't really remember. I think it was more recent than that. But those videos are out there. You can find it. All my videos are dated, by the way. I don't have them organized, and I've been saying this since I started the channel. I don't have them organized in playlists, mainly because I don't know how to do that, and I haven't bothered to learn yet. Any young people out there who want to take me step by step, let me know. So now that I've gotten the moss off, I might as well poke around in the substrate a little bit. There's a few weeds too I'll take out. I'll finish this up and we'll come back and take a look at the canopy. And here's a shot of the base of the tree and the surrounding soil, all cleared off. No organic matter, just whatever's in the soil. All right, let's move on to the canopy. All right, I'm embarrassed to say I just pruned up this branch without any of you seeing anything. So what I've done is just defined it. This is basically what I've been wanting to do with this branch all along. I think now that I'm looking at it from the front, I do have an outward facing leaf there. I'm going to take this down further. These, I was just talking about this. These branches show very little sign of taper, and I particularly was looking at this one. From this point on, all the way to the tip, it's the same thickness, but this could serve as a nursery branch for further branching. So that's how I'm going to view this. And I think I've got to take this one back a little bit more. There's a downward facing leaf behind that one. There's a pruning stub here. Looking for other pruning stubs. Here's one. And if you look, this is where I pruned it before, and I did get a branch on either side. The one lower. And I don't like the position of this. Just cut it back a little bit. This is still awkward, but let's move on. down below it is a nice future low branch from this tree. I pruned it here. So there's a nice dried up stump, which I'll take off. And it only really went in one direction. So I have a little bud there. I have a little more of a branch and bud starting here, but I think this one has to come back to here. And the lesson is, look how straight and without taper, right up to here, this branch is. So I've got to come back pretty far. I think I want to go below this point. I'll pick that up later. So this is something for the future right here. And I think this comes back one more. Okay, that takes care of this part of the orchard. Moving up, we're going to look at this, because that's now going to be in relationship to this. And this is like a staircase going up, up, and then you'll have our canopy, which is in two sections. I'll choose a more dominant one. I do want it extending here, but I don't want it extending forever. This is from another branch, but I'm going to cut it just to get it out of the way. It does have, let's see, this crosses under. If I didn't have it, well, let me think about what I like and what I don't like. This branch comes out from the branch right here, and it should be growing out this way, but it's cranked over all the way to there. Okay. So it's starting to bush out on either side. There is a case to be made for some sort of something growing here, and maybe vertically. I mentioned this crossing here before. I'm going to give it an opportunity to uncross, because there's a bud here that'll redirect that, hopefully in this direction. Nah, that's got to come off. There's the pruning stub. It did produce a lot of branches from the last pruning. Okay, that's way too high and out of proportion from what I want. What I want is this to grow out this way, and I think cutting it here is the way to get that. This comes out too much of a right angle from the trunk. This tree likes to do that, but I don't like it. Or I didn't like that one. Okay, so now this flops over the way I want it to. I want it to be a lot bigger than this. Let me take this. Oh, there's the pruning stub. Let me take this bottom branch off. Okay. This crisscrossing's crazy. I think I can alleviate it somewhat because there's a branch growing there. So I'm going to cut this way back to there. The length of this, I mean, here's the old pruning stub. I wanted it long, but let me see how long. I'm looking at this branch, trying to figure out where to cut it. I've got it wanting to grow to the top part here, but it's not quite far enough. This one isn't bad, but I think I'd have to cut it here. Okay, and this one, I want to grow in this direction. So I have a branch, I have a bud here. Pruning stub. This will tell me what I was trying to do. Look at the pruning stubs. It's there, but it's very short. And I mean, it's clear what I want to do. There's another pruning stub. And this grew out the bottom, which was good. Let me take the last inner node off. Just trying to get some movement to that branch. There is some middle foliage here that I will get rid of. And once again, that's to make this look a little bit more mature. I'm seeing some ants in there. Why do I have ants? All right, and from the front, it looks the way I want it to look. A little bit. All right, so that's that part of the orchard taken care of. Let's move on to the other side. All right, we're going to start with this low branch. I'm just going to take out the growth. It's right in the intersection. I don't want this to be growing up, which is going to be a real fun thing to try and control. I've got a downward facing or inward downward facing leaf there, so maybe I'll get that controlled. Here's another pruning stub, and it grew on top. So I must have wanted it to grow on top, but do I still? All of those buds are facing up. Maybe I can stretch its outer core a little bit and get it to lean down. I've seen this done on willows. Not killing the branch, just coaxing it. And I want to take the leaves away from this intersection here. This one growing up comes off. I don't want to do too much to this. I don't know, just maybe as it grows out, I'll be able to coax it down. There is a little part of this branch here that's a little too close to the intersection, and it doesn't work with this design. So I'm cutting it off. All right, that's somewhat diminished that. Working up to here. This is an orchard. So I've got to deal with this. All right, this is coming from the back. It's one of those cranked around branches. Are you seeing that? This guy. Oh, here comes the rain. I'm taking this one off. This one, on the other hand, complements this idea I had on this side. And I want to see what happens. You know, I want to see what happens. This one might give me another pad over here. So let me help visualize this one by getting rid of its competition. It's got a little nice shape and little elbow there already. This I don't need on this side. And this I don't need on this side. Okay, that cleans up the trunk quite a bit. And I may take this guy off. Yeah, I think I am going to. Okay. All right. Over here. Looking for my old pruning stubs. Here's one. So I wanted it to be this long, didn't I? But did I know it was going to look so unruly? I think I'm taking this one off right there. It's kind of facing back. There's a lot of things facing back here. And growing down on the bottom. Not always bad. Depends on your design philosophy. So I had chosen this end quite a while ago, it looks like. And I just don't like the shape of it. It's got a big nodule here. Okay, I think that's good. Back to the task at hand. That looks awful. I'm just going to cut it back. Okay, the task at hand is up here. And this is in a good position, you know, not to block what's underneath it. I just want these all to really grow out. This is a sprawling orchard, and this is an old tree. All right, I'm cutting this back to an outward facing leaf there. Taking the tip off of that, maybe a couple of tips. You know, I'm past the point of worrying about vitality. This was a nursery tree, and in the section where the Cotoneasters were, this was the only one left. So the shape that it was growing in did not appeal to most, apparently, but it appealed to me because I like my upright trees. Yeah, I told my wife as I was stepping out here, I said, all right, I got to go to work. And she said, don't call it work. I said, why not? It's work. It's toiling. Don't call it work. You're living your best dream. I said, that's a good way to look at it. It's kind of work, though. I don't know. It is my best dream, though. So she's right about that. God, you could go crazy refining this. Okay, this comes back towards the front of the tree. And it's a neat feature as it comes off this branch. And I must have wanted it because I kept it. But that was the last pruning. This pruning, I don't want it. So off it comes. Something hiding back here. Okay, now we got to move up, and I want to evaluate those two All right, in this view, you're looking at both competing apexes, and they're both coming off the same main branch. This one is a branch off of it, so following that logic, this is the main apex here. So let's prune it to reflect that reality. Okay, so I'm just going to take care of the errant growths in places where they shouldn't be. This wants to be a pad right here. So I've got this, I think this big branch comes off completely. Now that really did something there to separate these two. This is growing really corkscrewy and kind of in the wrong direction at the same time in the right direction. So let me clear away some of this confusion. This is now needing to fill out more in this direction, which is what this branch should be doing. And even this branch could be doing. I have a pruning stub here, which I'll take off. And I'm going to leave that. This, I have a pruning stub here, which means I wanted it that long, but I don't want it that long anymore. So I've got a nice upward facing part of this branch right here that I'm going to prune just in front of. This going up here is kind of nice. This coming out here blocks that from being its own entity. And this has to be de minimis to this. I'm going to cut this part off of this. We'll let that extend. That doesn't compete with it. There is some growth on the inside here that I want to discourage. And there's a pruning stub there and a pruning stub there, which means, well, it doesn't mean I necessarily made the right choice. It means I was trying to make a choice. And there's a pruning stub here. And all I got was this, which is good. I'm going to leave that. This one starts to curve around, so I want to ideally prune it to a bud on this side of this branch. I don't really have a good one. Prune it to there. Here's the pruning stub here. And I got a little curve around, which is okay. I'm going to take the end off. That's growing in the right direction. This one's getting a little close. I'm going to come back to here. This one I've got to make a decision on. I think this one has to be here. This one has to be there. This, I already took the end off of that. the old pruning stub off of that, but I'm wondering if this has to be shorter because it is crossing over that. I've already accomplished the whole getting this lower than that. But let me finish accomplishing that. Yeah, I need this to be shorter. Now, do I want that? If you were an orchard tree and you wanted to grow apples, you know, you might want them to come lower to the ground. I'm going to leave that just for its interest alone. I think that's all I can do there. Don't like this. I don't want it to be gone completely, but I'm going to take it way back. I kind of like that. It's going down. I think this one comes off. And now this has 2 levels of its own. Take this off. And I think this is what you got to do with a Cotoneaster. So this, you do want to see this whole transition here. But I like this and this over here because there's something missing in that area. This is reaching up there too. What's the high point? It's not going to be much higher than this, but this has to come back. Could take it to there, actually. It's got a branch kind of growing up, but if I wanted to flatten this out, I said I didn't want a wire, didn't I? And I don't. Yeah, they may just be competing for a long time. Okay, this stuff's got to go. I don't know, although a branch right there might look cool. I'm going to leave that. All right, these cross. This one curves out and up. It doesn't look so good. I'm going to take the middle one out here. Now I've got these two to contend with. I can't have this just this bush on top. I've got to have something coming up to it. I think I've got to get rid of this branch. So this one's really strong, which means it'll send up some branches. So I'm cutting it there. And this one, you know, I said I didn't want it just to be that, but if this grows, then it won't be that. This is just too awkward. It's got to be bold here. All right, that's it. I've got a lot of trees to get to today. So I'm going to make it seem like I'm doing multiple videos because that's how I'm going to release them, but they're all being done today in the rain. So let me bring in the next one, and thanks for keeping me company in my backyard on this stormy day.